Well, hello then. We're indoors. I bet that's really confused loads of you. It's going to be a bit of an indoor-outdoor extravaganza because we're going to talk about season 2023. I've got my journal for this year and I've got last year's journal, and we're going to have a chat about the garden. So, the garden then. For anyone who has come across this for the first time, maybe doesn't know our garden, let me explain. So, I'm going to take you outdoors. You're handheld, so excuse the wobbles, I'll do my best. But basically, growing areas. I have, let me see. Obviously, the greenhouse. Everyone knows about the greenhouse. It's kind of famous. I've got raised beds where I grow veggies, and I've got raised beds with flowers and trees in them. I've got in-ground beds. Can you see my thinking face? They all have flowers in them, or flowers, shrubs. One has a tree. I've got pots and containers and planters outdoors. I'm going to put all of them in the same group, smaller than a bed and not in the ground. Okay, so we're going to call it containers. Robin would be so proud of me. I have flowers, fruit, veggies, bulbs, trees in containers. So as you can see, I have a heap of growing space in my garden. And that's not including things like my hanging baskets and what have you that are purely decorative. That's a daft thing to say, because obviously the containers I have with flowers in them are decorative, but you know what I mean. Hanging baskets I count as something separate. So let's talk about it then. So then, let's make that a bit simpler. We are in East Lothian in Scotland. We are right on the coast. I'm talking we're minutes from the beach. So it's one of the things you will hear me say a lot is in my garden, for me. And that's because we all have different situations. Now, I don't know if you can hear it, but let me just show you my situation. If I turn around, that's what you can hear. So I've said this before, I live in a small town south of Edinburgh, right on the coast, literally on the coast. I refer to us as having an urban garden or a suburban garden because even though we're in what's considered to be a town, a small separate town, we are so close to Edinburgh that I kind of think of us as being a bit like suburbia when it's convenient. But what that means is we have some rules about our gardens, like this. We have a front garden and a back garden. Now, for those of you that sounds a bit strange, a front garden is basically in the front of the house and it's the one that can be seen from the street. The back garden is the one that's in the back of the house and generally it's a bit more private. Now, our front garden, we have some rules. Basically, because our street is what's considered open plan, we don't have hedges and fences and what have you, it's very, very visible. And therefore, we're not allowed to turn that into a veg plot. It has to remain an ornamental garden. But that's fine because we love our flowers. In fact, I got asked the other week why we don't grow more flowers. Truth is, we grow more flowers than anything else. Obviously, I just don't talk about them enough, so we're going to do lots more flower talking on the channel for the coming season. I'm not going to do less veggie stuff, I'm just adding lots more flowers in. Our back garden, or some of you may say backyard, it is a garden, it's not a homestead, it's not a plot, it's not an allotment, it's just a suburban garden. But that doesn't mean I don't get heaps out of it. It is both productive and a beautiful place for us to be. And it is something going on. We're going to do way more of our tours around the garden to do updates and talk about all the different areas so that you guys know what's happening and where. For example, this is 100% just because I want to show off the azaleas. That's the only reason we're here. But you know, Rockery's looking awesome. Because these are anemones. Anemones. That one's so gone on a blooper reel. With that said, let's do the basics for the coming season. Now, veggies and flowers. I have some plants that are going to be different. I'm going to be growing some new things, and I'm going to be growing a lot of the same stuff I always grow in different ways. I've already said that I'm going to carry on doing those walk around and update you on thing garden tour type ideas. Monthly, this is what's happening, this is what I'm sowing type videos. We have my to-do list, we have my seed box. That means it's time for another monthly what on earth am I sowing and growing and transplanting and what's happening video. They may not be in the same format as before because I'm still trying to decide what is me and what I like for those formats, but there'll definitely be a monthly video giving you an idea of what's coming at the very least. Let me put it that way. Can you tell I'm trying not to give too much away? Garden-wise, what's staying the same is this. We are still going to be growing loads of tomatoes in the greenhouse. Peppers and tomatoes. I love those. We are still, I say still, I've only done it 1 year. We are going to keep our whole can we grow tomatoes outdoors in Scotland thing going. And this year I'm not going to grow any dwarf tomatoes. Wasn't happy with them last year. This year I'm going to grow standard indeterminate tomatoes outdoors, and I'm going to focus on some cherries. So I'll keep you up to date on that one and what to expect. There will be more grow along with Eli's. I'll tell you about that in a second. I am going to continue with my peppers. I am not changing the variety at all. I'm so happy with King of the North. They're staying with us. I'm going to be tweaking how I grow them though. More on that next video. Okay, aubergines, first time last year. Was happy. I got quite a few aubergines, very, very happy. The plants were vigorous and healthy. However, I think a change in variety is in order. I have been influenced by seeing some of the other Scottish growers and the varieties they've grown, so I'm switching the variety I'm growing in the hope that I'll get an even bigger harvest. So that's tomatoes, peppers, aubergine. That is my 3 standard larger plants in the greenhouse. My herbs in there, basil and tarragon. No change. You guys know I adore my basil and tarragon. But I'm going to add a couple of new varieties of basil that I've never tried before. I've never even eaten before. They came as free seeds with a seed order, so I thought I'm just going to give them a try. Now, outdoors. Let's break outdoors into the veggie beds, the fruit we grow, and lots of flowers. Because, you know, I mentioned before, we grow a lot of flowers. Behind me is my raised beds. 3 big raised beds. And you can see they've got net covers, or one's currently got a polythene cover over it. Those covers are on hinges so that they're dead easy for me to lift and get into the beds. Those beds are where I grow fruit and veg. 3 beds, but if you have a really good look, you can see there are also lots of containers around them. So what's growing in there then? Come on, let's come with me. There's no tripod today, so you know, it's not like a normal video. I'm going to stand over here and I'm going to go like this. Bed number 1. This is bed number 1 behind me here. It has strawberries in it. Just strawberries. 2 varieties of strawberries. Everbearer Albion, which is a standard red variety. And I've got Pineberry, which is a little white strawberry, which was a bit of an experiment over the last couple of years. I'm still not sure. The reason I'm not sure, I have to take you for a walk again. This is going to get really confusing, guys. And a bit, whoa! The reason I'm not sure is behind me here is what used to be my strawberry planter. We built this out of pallets, shipping crates, I think some people call them, with the purpose of growing the strawberries vertically because I wanted the strawberry bed back to give me more space to grow veggies. However, I find it very difficult growing in this for watering. It just doesn't hold any moisture at all. It's a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. So I've put the strawberries back in the raised bed. Now, I don't know if I had a poor crop of strawberries that year because they were in here, So the following year, which was last year, I moved them over here. This is the veg trough, and you guys will know it, you have seen it. I put the strawberries in that the next year and got an even worse crop. And by that I mean, I think I got 4 strawberries in total from the entire thing. Now, this gave us a whole different thing to think about, because this doesn't get a lot of light and strawberries like a lot of direct light. So first change then. We're just doing a lot of walking today. My arm's getting really tired. I'm going to change hands. Also, I can't see what you see, so I hope I'm not cutting my head off. So this year then, the strawberries are back in this bottom bed. And I'm hoping that means we'll get a much better harvest. You can see behind there, I've still got spring onions going. I have 1 row of pots with garlic. And that's a change this year. I used to grow my garlic in my raised beds, but last year's harvest was really poor. Loads of problems, very, very wet. So I lost lots, it rotted. So this year I've put them in containers or pots, and I've drilled so many holes you wouldn't believe, and I've put the most free draining mix in there ever. So we shall see how that does. At the back here we have blackberries. Same as always, I've got 2 types, Loch Ness and Loch Tay. And you can see that I have them trained on the fence. So each year the old shoots get cut down, the new shoots get tied in along the fence. We're carrying that on this year, so we'll see how that goes. Last year was stunning, so many blackberries. So far so good. One new addition, there's nothing to see, but there is a pot there which has rhubarb in it. Kate's a massive rhubarb fan. She came home one day with this tiny little crown of rhubarb, so we put it in there and we'll see how it goes. We grew rhubarb before and Kate killed it. Kate put it in a pot and forgot to put drainage holes in, and it got drowned basically. But we're lucky we've got a neighbour that grows loads of rhubarb and gives us rhubarb. But Kate's wanting to have another try, so that's what that is. Again, you guys know all of this already, but it currently has a lot of American landcress in there. It also has some pak choy. It did have lamb's lettuce, but I've eaten all that now. So that will keep going for a while. This bed here will be our changeable bed. So as I change my mind about what I'm growing, which, let's be honest, I do a lot. I do things on a whim. So you guys who've been with us for a while then, you know that I have a plan for my growing and sowing. That'll be the bed where all the changeable stuff goes. I have 3 fruit trees here. You guys probably didn't even realise this because I've yet to get a harvest. So the 2 trees in the green pots, those are my apple trees. They're a new addition. Last year was the first year for them. I am so terrified by the idea of growing these trees in pots because it's a whole different world growing in pots. You're basically everything to those little plants. You need to be responsible for all of the watering and feeding and everything and making sure it's getting enough and not too much. And I'm absolutely terrified. Who knows? The other tree then is this one. This little guy here is my brown turkey fig. As you can see, there are figs on it. However, they will not come to anything because they're going to just die and fall off because it's winter. I haven't yet had a proper harvest on this, and I use the term proper because how many of you guys then grow stuff that you've never tried before? Because Kate and I got this fig as a tiny little propagation from a friend. We had no intentions of growing figs because we had never eaten figs, but we thought, wow, our mate Luke gave us it, so we have to grow it. We did get figs that were ripe, but we didn't know if they were ripe or not. We didn't know how to tell. I left it too long, and by the time we took them off the tree, they were just gone past. So we haven't eaten from it yet. So I'm going to make an effort this year to make sure that I get at least 1 fig to try from it. So we have 2 main flower beds that you guys know about. The one behind me, which I jokingly call the walled garden or the fence bed. The other big flower bed we have is this one behind me, and if I put you up high, which you guys watched us build only a couple of years ago. That one has the 2 cherry trees in it. Now they're ornamentals, they're not fruiting cherries, so it's just for the blossom. It has a whole heap of tulips and alliums, and I generally haven't decided its permanent thing yet. So we've got a few new things we're going to grow in that this year, just to see, fun. So that was our quick tour around Eli's brain and what she's thinking of, or at least what I'm going to tell you about for now. The next video is going to be the very first of our monthly growing and sowing and general doing in the garden type videos. I will tell you much more in that video. So for now then, if you guys want, if you want that video about how to create your own plan, it's here. If you want the one about creating your own gardening journal, it's here. I will see you next week for an awful lot more detail. See you, folks.